Let us see that how Alauddin Khalji and Muhammad Tughlaq have dealt with the conditions when the Genghis Khan or the Mongols were attacking onto the Delhi Sultanate. Let us understand what were the differences between the the system of controlling the attack of the Mongols in Alauddin Khalji's reign as well as in the Muhammad Tughlaq's reign. We are going to compare this. First, Delhi was attacked twice. We are going to understand is about Alauddin Khalji. The first, Delhi was attacked twice in 1299, 1300, and 1302 and, 30, and 3. As a defensive measure, Alauddin Khalji raised a large standing army. What the Alauddin Khalji did? He raised a large uh, standing army. And what the Muhammad Tughlaq did, the Sultanate was attacked in the early years of Muhammad Tughlaq's reign. The Mongol army was defeated. Muhammad Tughlaq was confident about the strength of his army and his resources to plan an attack on the Transoxiana. He therefore raised a large standing army. So what the Muhammad Tughlaq did, he raised a large army against the Mongols and they defeated the Mongols. Muhammad Tughlaq was confident about his strength and army and therefore he became conqueror of the attack of the Mongols and he therefore raised a large standing army. Now we are going to see Alauddin Khalji. Alauddin constructed a new garrison town named Siri for his soldiers. You can, if you will see this map number 1, you will see that point over there. What the Muhammad Tughlaq did, rather than constructing a new garrison town, the oldest of the 4 cities of Delhi, that is Delhi Kohana, was emptied of its residents and the soldiers garrisoned there. So in place of making new garrison town, what he did, he in the oldest of the 4 cities that was called as the Delhi Kohana was emptied of its residents and soldiers were garrisoned over there. Means in the residential area soldiers were garrisoned. The residents of the old city were sent to the new capital of Daulatabad in the south. Then the soldiers had in Alauddin Khalji's reign, the soldiers had to be fed. This was done through the produce collected as a tax from the lands between the Ganga and Yamuna. Tax was fixed at 50% of the peasant's yield. So what the Alauddin Khalji did? As you know very well, soldiers need the food, and how the food was provided to the soldiers. Whatever the taxes were collected from the peasants of the peasants of the land from the Ganga and Yamuna, the 50% of the peasants' yield that was taken in the form of tax was used for providing the food to the soldiers. Now, what the Muhammad Tughlaq has done in his reign, that we are going to see here. So, produce from the same area was collected as tax to feed their army. But to meet the need of the large number of soldiers, the Sultan levied additional taxes. This coincided with famine in the area. So, in place of using Muhammad Tughlaq didn't only collected taxes in the form of food and all that used for the army to feed, but also to meet the need of the large number of soldiers, Sultan levied additional taxes onto the people or the peasants of these areas. So what happened due to that? The huge crisis or famine started to take place in that area where the people were or the soldiers were garrisoned. Now, another point in the in the Alauddin Khalji's reign, the soldiers had to be paid. You know very well the soldiers needs the salaries. Alauddin chose to pay his soldiers salaries in cash rather than iktas. The soldiers would buy their supplies from the merchants in the Delhi, and it was thus feared that merchants would raise their prices to stop this. Alauddin controlled the prices of the goods in Delhi. Prices were carefully surveyed by the officers, and merchants who did not sell at prescribed rates were punished. So, what the Alauddin Khalji did to pay the soldiers, in place of giving them the land or iktas, what he did, he increased their salaries. He increased the Alauddin Khilji increased the salaries of the soldiers, and to stop the supply from the merchant in Delhi, and it was thus feared that merchant would raise their prices. To stop the merchants to raise their prices of the food, what the Alauddin Khilji did, Alauddin controlled the prices of goods in the Delhi, and with the help of that, the uh, Sultan controlled the prices of the different material which was provided by the merchants. Prices were carefully surveyed by the officers of the Sultan. Now, what the Muhammad Tughlaq did? Muhammad Tughlaq also paid his soldiers cash salaries, but instead of controlling prices, he used token currency. You know, token currency, somewhat like present day paper currency. Just same as we are using the notes and all that. That time, the paper currency was in the form of token currency, and it was first used by the Muhammad Tughlaq. But this made out of cheap metals, not gold and silver. This was not made out of whatever the currency or note or whatever the coins we are using today are made from the cheap metals, not by the gold and silver. People in the 14th century did not trust these coins. They were very smart. They saved their gold and silver coins and paid all their taxes to the state with this token currency. So whatever the precious metals the people were having, they saved that with them, because people were very clever at that time about gold and silver and all that. In place of using that, all those coins, they used the token currency. This cheap currency could also be counterfeited easily. And then Alauddin Khilji's administrative measures. What he did in for the administrative measures, that we are going to see here. Alauddin's administrative measures were quite successful, and chroniclers praise his reign for its cheap prices and efficient supplies of goods in the market. He successfully withstood the threat of Mongol invasions. Now, what Muhammad Tughlaq did? Muhammad Tughlaq's administrative measures were failure. His campaign into Kashmir was a disaster. He then gave up his plans to invade Transoxiana and disbanded his large army. Meanwhile, his administrative measures created complications. The shifting of the people to Daulatabad were resented. This raising of taxes and famine in the Ganga Yamuna belt led to rebellion widespread rebellion, and finally the token currency had to be recalled. So in this way we can say the administration of the Muhammad Tughlaq and administration of the Alauddin Khalji, there are so many differences, and when we see all these administrative measures that were taken by the Alauddin Khalji and Muhammad Tughlaq are very much different, and Alauddin Khalji, we can say, was most successful administrator in comparison of Muhammad Tughlaq. In this way we have done with this. Now the last point is remaining, that we will see, and then we will do our question and answers. The Sultanate in the 15th and 16th century. What happened to the Sultanate in the 15th and 16th century, that we are going to see in this point. You will notice that after the Tughlaqs, the Sayyid and Lodi dynasties ruled from the Delhi and Agra until 1526. By then, Jaunpur, Bengal, Malwa, Gujarat, Rajasthan, and entire South India had independent rulers who established flourishing states and prosperous capitals. This was also the period which saw the emergence of new ruling groups like the Afghans and Rajputs. So here we can say that you will notice after the rule of the Tughlaq, the Sayyid and Lodi dynasties ruled from Delhi to Agra from 1526. By then, Jaunpur, Bengal, Malwa, Gujarat, Rajasthan, and the entire part of the South India had independent different rulers, and they ruled, or they established flourishing or prosperous states in those region. Prosperous capitals were also there. This was also the period. This period particularly was also the period when it saw the emergence of new ruling groups like the Afghans and Rajputs. So it was the time when the new ruling groups like Afghans as well as the Rajputs came in the Indian subcontinent. This was the time of the Afghans and new rulers like Rajputs. Some of the states establishing in this period were small but powerful and extremely well administered. Shah Suri started his career as the manager of a small territory for his uncle in Bihar and eventually challenged and defeated the Mughal Emperor Humayun. Sher Shah captured the Delhi and established his own dynasty. Although the Suri dynasty ruled for only 15 years, it introduced an administration that borrowed elements from Alauddin Khalji and made them more efficient. Sher Shah's administration became the model followed by the great emperor Akbar when he consolidated the Mughal Empire. So, in this way, we can say some of the states which were established newly in this region, this period were small but power. These all the states were for a small period of time, but it was completely powerful and extremely well administered. Sher Shah Suri started his career as the manager of a small territory or the small kingdom for his uncle in the Bihar. But after some time, he challenged and defeated Mughal Empire emperor. And what was his name? Humayun. Humayun was the father of Akbar. And Sher Shah captured Delhi and established his own dynasty, the Suri dynasty. Although the Suri dynasty ruled for only 15 years, means Sher Shah Suri's dynasty that was called as the Suri dynasty, uh, ruled only for 15 years, it introduced an administration that borrowed elements from the Alauddin Khalji's reign. Means whatever the kind of administrative measures taken by the Alauddin Khalji, it was introduced by the Sher Shah Suri in his reign and made them more efficient. More efficient means more efficient than the Alauddin Khalji's administrative measures. Sher Shah's administration became the model. The whatever the administrative measures was used by the Sher Shah Suri, that became the model followed by the great emperor named Akbar when he consolidated the Mughal Empire. Means when the Akbar, the emperor, consolidated all his different areas into the one empire, that time he followed the administrative measures used by the Sher Shah Suri. So in this way, here the chapter is over. In the coming period, we are going to understand the question and answers of this as well as the map. Till then, in the remaining part of this class, we are going to see the question and answers and your doubts. Thank you very much.